One of the biggest questions that our RV buyers and owners have is, what is the difference between the different RV refrigerator technologies out there? There's some old school kind, they're the heat exchange type, and then the new kid on the block, it's compressor, and then you got these terms thrown out there like two-way, three-way, electric only, and things like that. And some of them are good, some are bad. We brought a professional, an expert, and a general know-it-all, Cody, back onto the podcast. Welcome back, Cody.
Thanks, Clint. I appreciate that general know-it-all there joke you throw around.
Welcome to the RV Small Talk podcast, where we'll talk about lightweight trailers, truck campers, and people, places, and adventures that go right along with them. We are your hosts from Princess Craft RV. I am Clint.
I'm Lindsay.
And I'm Cody.
Good luck with that. Don't forget, you can check out the show notes for all of our previous episodes at rvsmalltalk.com, and you can find us on social media if you just look up RV Small Talk. That's us. And we are also on YouTube. Go there, like, subscribe to that channel, and you're good to go. Lindsay, you have some wishes and what's with podcast listeners, right?
I wish on the brightest star in the sky that our podcast listeners would join us at the Texas Tiny Trailer Rally, for one.
Okay.
And for two, that they would get up on Apple Podcasts, give us a review, a rating, let us know, how we're doing, any episodes you want to hear in the future, any ideas, any questions. That's the place to do it. That's my wish.
I hope you get your wish.
Thank you. Every year on my birthday, when I blow out the candles, that's
the one thing.
What I wish
that's what comes to mind. Okay. Let's get into this podcast. Cody, let's talk refrigerators today.
Cool.
Awesome.
Sometimes cool. Yeah.
Cool.
And we brought you in because it is another 100+ degree day out there, and I pulled you out of a unit that you're working on out in the heat.
Are you working on a fridge?
I'm not currently.
But currently is the key here, because he is working on a electrical system.
Yeah.
On a trailer.
Yeah. Doing a lithium setup.
But I feel like, I'm on the opposite side of the building. I'm over here, service is over there. There's a wall between us. But I keep hearing the word fridge in all of our meetings and every time I go to the service department from customers. Is there a recall going on? Why all the fridge talk?
Not to my knowledge of any recalls. But all the fridge talk is because we've got fridges not working.
Is that because
we're talking like 200?
No, I think we're up in the neighborhood of around 10 at this point.
But it all happens so fast. We keep getting calls of fridges not working.
Is that because we're having an abnormally hot summer in Texas? Like, they are actually typical fridge issues just the way they are, and it's just been hot and people are experiencing it to a certain level? That's
what I was thinking. Is that it? Or is it like the customer just calling and saying, my fridge doesn't work, when in reality it's working the best it can when it's 110 outside?
Of those 10,
it's going to be a mixture of that. Yeah, for sure. So you're going to have some that, when it's 110 outside, 115, they just don't stay as cold as you want them to.
Like your fridge at home would stay.
Right, exactly.
Now, we haven't jumped into the type of fridges yet.
Yeah, we haven't talked about types yet.
However, is there, just quick data point, is there one that is doing better in the heat, one particular type, whether it be heat exchange
compressor?
Or compressor's doing better?
Absolutely.
Okay. All right, so we'll get into what that means later. What repairs on refrigerators have been done in our shop in the past month or so?
We have done anywhere from control boards to heating elements to entire refrigerators, cooling units only. It's been anything and everything.
So it's not just one problem across the board.
We have been doing a lot more cooling units than other components, but primarily probably cooling units.
Is it one manufacturer? Sorry, you can call them out. We don't have any sponsors.
It's true, we don't.
Yeah, I would say that we've probably actually seen more Norcold issues this summer.
Now, I've noticed this, just to back a little away from refrigerators, these problems that come up sometimes come in waves. So this is refrigerators.
They
You're
do. Absolutely.
saying it's a little bit more north cold, but we see waves of refrigerators or air conditioners or
Water
axles
heaters.
or
Yeah.
water heaters. So what's going on when we see these little like seasons of a group of components?
Yeah, it's going to be somewhere. If it's a season where we see like a certain issue with maybe one brand of something having the same issue, it's going to be somewhere in production. It's going to be some key component that occurred somewhere in the production line that just didn't pan out.
Okay. Like maybe something that was built in the factory could be here, could be in China, who knows? Maybe they changed the material they're making it out of, a different type of metallurgy, a different plastic doohickey.
Could have had the wrong mixture of ammonia and water.
And hickey.
Yeah, I don't know what a doohickey is, but there's lots of them I hear. So.
All right, so it could be anything, but usually at the manufacturing stage, and then it's manufactured, shipped on a boat and trucks and trains, and it ends up at multiple RV manufacturers, Forest River products, Thor products, these smaller products that brands that make only one thing. All these things show up,
and then just regular distribution ports, warehouses as well.
Okay. Hence the reason it can be across all brands, but it all happens to be the season of refrigerators.
Yeah, I just think that people tend to see more issues in the summer.
Okay.
It's kind of like batteries. You see more battery issues in the heat of the summer and the cold of the winter than, spring and fall.
So it's the extreme seasons.
Yeah, it's the extreme seasons.
Okay. Is there a component of this that is maybe at the RV manufacturing stage where things aren't going together? Maybe the component, the refrigerator, is perfectly fine, but
the refrigerator itself is just a box with insulation.
Okay.
So it's everything that's on the back.
Okay.
That has to be working correctly in order for a refrigerator to work.
Okay.
So we've seen some that have caught us off guard where they haven't even had mastic installed when we pulled the cooling unit off.
Okay, mastic.
Which is like it's in a caulk tube. It's applied. It's kind of like a heat transfer type material.
Okay.
That's supposed to help with the heat exchange between the box and the
if that's not there, the whole part of a heat exchange,
it doesn't work.
It just doesn't work.
Yeah.
Nothing's exchanging.
Exactly.
Okay.
So I don't know.
You've
We've seen
lost me.
some weird stuff. We've seen
gone.
some weird stuff, and a lot of it could be, like I said, maybe the ammonia in the water not being proportioned correctly.
Okay.
Or it could be employment issues. Everybody's kind of struggling with getting quality and everything back up.
Right.
And everybody that does everything the right way, they could just be missing steps. So something could be missed. I mean, who knows? Right. We don't know what goes on inside that cooling unit and all that because they're non-serviceable. So who knows?
Okay. So let's go ahead and jump into the types of refrigerators that people are finding or looking for. Because some people are actually choosing their RV, coming down to their last 2 or 3 RVs that they're looking at. And the refrigerator might be the decision maker.
It was for me.
It was for you.
Absolutely.
Okay. So what do you have in your trailer?
Well, I've got a big fifth wheel, but it actually has a residential LG in it. A lot of the bigger fifth wheels and bigger trailers are running residential branded refrigerators these days. But the big two, Norcold and Dometic, are producing as well compressor style fridges. So your fridge at home uses a compressor. Right. It doesn't use a heat absorption coil system.
Okay.
With
so
ammonia.
Let's start with, there's essentially, and correct me if I'm wrong, because I don't know, 2 types of fridges.
Yes.
At the base of it.
Yes.
There's an absorption fridge.
Correct.
And a compression fridge.
Yes.
And what's the difference? I mean,
so the absorption fridge uses a mixture of ammonia and water in a cooling, what we call a cooling unit. It's like a heat exchanger that actually requires heating the ammonia and water to cool the refrigerator.
That just sounds
so
bonkers,
we're using
but
heat,
okay.
We're using heat to create cool.
Okay.
Yeah, so we have to heat it, and as the ammonia in the water moves back down through the cooling unit, it actually pulls all the heat out of the refrigerator and freezer, makes it cold.
Science, man.
Science.
It's so sciencing, and this is the traditional way to do a refrigerator.
Man, they've been doing this for, I don't know, as long as I can think of an RV.
Yeah. What are the headaches and drawbacks of this type? Now, I will say there's sometimes when I'm like, you know what? I think I might still consider it.
So like the fridge in my trailer is an absorption fridge, right?
I believe so.
Okay.
Yep.
Just making sure I know what's happening.
So, drawbacks, I mean, they've been doing them so long, they don't tend to perform as well in super hot weather, in my opinion, and just from my experience. They can be a fire hazard if you get an ammonia leak. And you're trying to run on propane. That's happened in the past.
Man, that was like my very last question here at the bottom of the page was like the question that I keep. So let's just get it out of the way now, I guess. What's the answer? Is it safe to run my fridge on propane while I'm driving?
Lindsay, why?
Because
it's what
I think it's what the people want to know.
Yeah,
it is true.
It's what the people know.
So I know that the answer isn't straight yes or no.
It's not a straight yes or no answer.
But in one sentence, is it safe?
Oh, you can't.
So
you
I can't because a sense of safety is personal.
Okay, so bad things can happen.
Yes.
Yeah, but you're towing propane down the road anyway. So whether you're running your fridge on propane or not, it could.
But the propane wouldn't be on. Like you're turning it on if you're running the fridge on propane while you're driving. So doesn't that make it more dangerous than just going down the road with a closed propane tank?
It's not illegal in Texas.
Good answer. It's not illegal.
Everybody move to Texas.
So
Don't do that.
It is totally going to be. I've talked to plenty of people that don't feel comfortable using any type of propane going down the road. For me personally,
I don't know if I do.
I'm gonna run it. It's going to do so much better than if you have a 3-way fridge using a 12-volt option.
Yes.
So if you've got a fridge full of food already, my recommendation is going to be to run it on propane if you still want a fridge full of food when you get somewhere.
If you want the food to be edible.
That's right.
However, this is not Princess Craft RV's official stance on the issue. Please use your better judgment. We cannot be held liable for you keeping a refrigerator cold.
Thank you for that disclaimer. So absorption fridges can generally come 2-way or 3-way.
Correct.
2-way meaning they can be used on shore power or they can be used on propane.
Propane, correct.
And if you have a 3-way, then it adds DC power, battery.
DC heating element.
So you can run your fridge off your battery.
Kind of.
Why do you say, I mean...
Yeah.
So, and if you read through probably most of the owner's manuals that are for a 3-way refrigerator, it will tell you that the DC mode is what they consider a maintenance mode. It'll tell you to pre-chill your refrigerator and all of its contents prior to travel.
So I can't shove hot food in a...
Absolutely not, and try to cool it off on DC.
And try to cool it off.
It is not going to work. And then you can run it on DC during your travel. The DC side of a absorption fridge uses a lot of energy. It consumes a lot of battery. It consumes a lot of power to maintain.
So maintain as in your fridge isn't going to get any colder than it already is, but it will maintain the temperature.
And if you open the door
and
it raises the temperature 5 degrees, now you're maintaining.
You're maintaining at that 5-degree increase.
And you're using a lot of your battery juice in order to do that.
Yep. And people say, but I got a charge line, right? I got a charge line on my tow vehicle. It won't keep up. So for most people, factory charge lines are not going to be able to carry the amperage needed to do that.
So what is the point of a 3-way fridge adding that battery option if it sucks so bad?
That, I've been asking that same question for a long time.
Okay, well, I'm just wondering, is there something I'm missing? Like, no, we need a 3-way fridge, or they just started making them 3-way and now it's just like a thing.
Here's my take on it. It's for the people who are afraid to use propane while driving.
Yeah, they probably have somewhere across the country I'm sure there's somewhere that says you can't run on propane.
I'm sure. Absolutely.
So what's the other alternative? Just turn it off completely, fill it full of ice jugs. I mean, they have provided some type of solution.
It's just a
But it's
solution.
It's up to the owner of that camper to make sure that their tow vehicle is properly equipped to handle such needs.
Okay.
Right.
How the other thing I've heard with absorption fridges is you need to be level for them to operate.
Oh yeah.
How level are we talking? Is it dangerous to use your fridge when it's not level, or will it just not work?
It won't work.
What's happening?
It's not a danger thing. It is a total efficiency and making that thing run.
Does it have to do with the vinegar or whatever you called it?
The ammonia?
The ammonia. We're making pickles.
Yeah. It will have to do. Yeah, it's got
My
to do
refrigerator
with
got
the
hot
flow.
on my food's ruined. I'm having a pickle.
I mean,
Oh, man.
like
At least it'll be cold.
Somebody's got to be the dummy on this show.
Sure. It does. It has to do with the flow of everything through the cooling unit.
It won't work unless it's level.
Right.
So you need two things to flow, particularly if you're on propane. You need that propane.
Propane.
You need the propane to flow correctly, obviously, to it, but also you need it to, if you're at an extreme angle, then your pilot light, if you will, might not be hitting the element just right. But also the other efficiency thing is, like you said, the ammonia solution needs to be able to travel efficiently through whatever that network of tubing is in the back.
All the pipes. Yeah. Okay. Maintenance. What kind of maintenance do absorption fridges need? I mean, is it something that a consumer needs to do once a year? Or,
Can I start with mud daubers and spiders?
Yeah, that's going to be the biggest.
Yeah.
And at least in our area. Yeah, absolutely.
So putting screens on the outside so the mud daubers don't get in. Is there anything else that people are supposed to do with absorption fridges to keep them running efficiently?
Yeah, I mean, they need to clean. They need to open up the vents on the backside if they've got wall vents and just do a general cleaning. You know, blow it out with compressed air or something. Get all the dirt and debris out.
Like you do with your AC at home?
just like you do with anything else. Yeah, you want to keep it clean because the more crud that piles up, because it will in there, can eventually affect operations.
All right, we're going to move on to compression fridges, but
I'm waiting for it.
I'm just going to wrap this up in a little bubble because I am learning so much. Okay. Absorption fridges can be 2-way, 3-way. They can work off of gas. They don't cool as fast or as evenly. You have to be level. And the only maintenance needed is like protecting your vents and stuffs.
Sure.
All right.
Okay.
Moving on. Compression.
Moving on.
Go.
How does it work?
How does it work?
Why does it work?
So why does it work, or how does it work? So it's going to operate more like, let's say, your air conditioner in your car. Okay. So it's going to actually have a refrigerant in the system that it compresses, and as it moves through the cooling unit, the refrigerant actually gets cold. So it goes through state changes, temperature changes to create a cooling effect as well.
So I'm maybe way off on this, but I liken it to the compressed air cans when you're going to blow out your keyboard or whatever.
Yeah.
And if you just hold down that nozzle and it just keeps on releasing,
that bottle gets cold.
Bottle gets really cold. It's because it's compressed, but it's starting to move out at a high rate of speed. Is
Correct.
that something akin to it?
Yeah, kind of. So they have pressure changes,
Good
which
analogy,
would be
Clint.
causing
Well, it may not
that.
be very good. We're going to get a comment somewhere. That's
Yeah,
like,
we will.
Clint,
I'm
you
sure.
idiot. But I'm willing to ask the question.
I'm willing to have you be called an idiot.
Yeah, but they operate on refrigerant versus ammonia. Some formulation, whether they're using like R134A or cetane or whatever they call it now, is what they're using. Okay. So it just operates a little differently. We're not needing heat sources to heat the refrigerant. We just compress it, and as it goes through state changes, it works.
It gets cold.
Is it more efficient because you're not having to first heat something to cool something to heat something to cool something?
I think that's part of it, and the other part of it for me is that there's no exterior vents needed.
Okay.
So there's no outside components getting in on the backside of the refrigerator.
So you don't have to blow stuff out.
There's no bugs. Well, I mean, you're still going to have dust and stuff build up just like you do.
But there's no
around everything
propane,
else.
so the
No
bugs aren't
propane.
attracted to
Right.
it.
No propane. There's no necessarily road grime coming in.
But that means you can't run it on propane.
That means you can't run it on propane.
Oh my God, I'm so smart.
So the setback for people is, okay, well, how do I run my fridge going down the road? Well, they put inverters in them. They put inverters in them that are specifically designed, not specifically designed. The inverter is just installed to run the refrigerator while they're traveling.
Okay, but by the same token as the other style, the older style, it still behooves you to have everything in there nice and cooled off before you actually hit the road.
Always a good idea.
Because you don't, why would you put yourself through it to run that compressor really hard to try to cool it off while you're driving? Because my experience, having done exactly that scenario, while a refrigerator is cooling down, it is at its least efficient.
Absolutely.
Versus maintaining.
Absolutely.
Okay. So you don't have to be level. That doesn't matter.
Probably not as level. I haven't actually read to say yes or no on that, but they're not going to need to be as level.
Okay. My other question, and it might be a real dumb one, but is a compression fridge more efficient on battery than an absorption fridge, or they're both?
What was yours
they're
pulling?
They're both inefficient on battery.
What was yours pulling on DC? Do you remember?
When the compressor was running, it was at 4
amps.
Yeah.
For your little fridge. So 4 amps. So on a DC heating element on an absorption fridge, most of them are anywhere from about 12 to 20 amps.
Right. Whereas mine was like 4.23.
And his is like
range.
4 amps for running a compressor.
Right.
That's significantly lower.
It is. And what I did notice is that, I could get many, many miles down the road that way. However, it was still drawing off of my traditional battery setup more than my traditional basic charge line would keep up with to recharge the battery.
Yes.
So it's much more efficient, but you're still going to need to watch it.
Okay.
Once you get to your site, go ahead and hit on shore power or a generator.
Yep.
Okay. Man, I feel smart.
One thing that Cody and I did just recently to my rig, just because of this situation, I was going to drive for about 9 hours with my family and I was going to have food in the fridge and all that. We knew because of a previous trip that even the compressor fridge would start to draw down that battery. To
in your truck? Or
in the trailer.
in your trailer.
We installed a DC to DC charger on the trailer and a separate charge line on the truck, and that way more than accomplishes keeping that battery up to snuff during transit. I could I could leave my refrigerator on in maintenance mode, not just cooling it off, but I could leave that refrigerator on and have a nearly dead battery, and in that 9-hour drive, probably in just 4 hours, I could keep that refrigerator going and completely charge that 120 amp hour lithium ion battery on the road in transit.
Okay. So
that
another solution.
That was a solution. It's not the same thing as just having a battery and refrigerator and a charge line. There is another component in there, but it works.
Yeah.
Man, it works.
Yeah, they do.
So there's that tidbit.
There's ways to make improvements.
Yeah. So one other thing that gets mentioned when it comes to the 12-volt compressor is because you don't have all that venting and all the heat exchange components on the back, you actually typically get quite a bit more space in the refrigerator.
Yeah, they can make the cubic footage bigger.
Which means more
space for the beer.
More snackums.
Smackums?
Snackums?
Snackums.
Yeah. Sherry had some.
Yep.
All right. What else, Lindsay? What else you got?
Just things to think about if you're looking for an RV and trying to figure out what kind of fridge you want or what kind of fridge you need. Which fridge is better for boondocking? Go Go. Come on. Come on.
Okay,
Go.
that's a dividing line right there.
Okay, we'll go. Do you mean me to snap again?
I kind of do, because it's hard. A lot of boondockers still choose propane because
it's going to be the lowest consumption for energy.
Yeah, and what do? You just carry 2 bottles, you switch them out, and
I can't even imagine. You'd have to be gone a long time to go through 2 bottles.
Right.
Okay, so that's my next question. What is harder, recharging your battery or refilling a propane tank?
See, what else are you bringing?
Yeah, I mean, this is personal.
Yeah.
Well, I know.
Lindsay.
I'm asking you. I'm asking you.
If you are going to be in a place where solar is a viable solution, unlike where I was in the Ozarks, where solar was not a viable solution because of the canopy.
Those damn trees.
The beautiful damn trees. But so if I were going somewhere more sunny, I would have been just fine with solar panels.
Yeah.
I mean, beautiful. With my compressor style refrigerator, no problem. However, I wasn't. So I had the option. I would have to have run a propane system or brought a generator, but I was camping where there's no generators allowed. So the DC to DC charger off my truck allowed me to skirt the rules a little bit and use my truck as a generator.
Got it. Cody?
Yeah, I mean, I think that you've got to plan your trip based off of your gear. So like Clint said, the generator is a good option to recharge things. But if you're staying in an area that says no generators, you've got to figure it out. So you've either got to build it out big enough with what you're doing in mind to last that period of time, or you've got to. It's just so specific to what everybody needs. It's tough to answer.
How often do you need to defrost your fridge? I see some of the
When it's
fridges
frosty.
come with those little clips that you put in the door so that it leaves it cracked.
That is for storage.
Yeah.
Last thing you want to do is leave your refrigerator door closed completely when it goes from cold to hot.
And I'll tell you a situation where you really, really don't want that is when someone spilled milk in the refrigerator.
Yeah, Clint, that's gross.
And it got into the seal in the bottom of the seal of the door. And that's bad.
I spilled kombucha in my...
Ooh, that might be worse.
And it sat there for a while.
Gross.
And it's already rotten, right?
It is.
It's kombucha.
Yeah, but there's live cultures in it. So it's like rotten plus you're killing live cultures.
I had a whole farm
consuming
growing in
themselves.
there. It was disgusting.
That sounds like it.
But yeah, okay. So when do I just defrost it once a month? Which is when it gets frosty? I don't know.
Well, it's going to vary depending on how often you get into it and how fast the frost builds up. As the older they get, the seals around the doors
It's
start
usually
to get
a
a little
seal
weak.
problem,
Yeah,
right?
they start to get a little weak. You'll start seeing frost a little more often.
Seal or a sea lion?
Seal.
Seal.
Like...
Go ahead.
I'm
Make the
trying.
noise. Let's do
I'm
it.
trying to think of a seal song. He's married to
by a
Heidi
Rose.
Klum.
Oh,
Kiss by a Rose, yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Rose, come on. That's the
Damn.
song.
Well, it left my dome piece. Okay. What?
I just can't.
I was looking at this and I just kept seeing this term.
Clint must have typed that.
No, I did.
Oh.
And I'm proud of it.
I did nothing.
So, do you know the Muffin Fan?
The Muffin
the
Fan?
Muffin
The
Fan?
Muffin Fan.
The Muffin Fan!
No, they kept saying Muffin Fan. You need to put a Muffin Fan in there and it'll make your fridge more efficient. What the heck is a Muffin Fan?
Well, to be honest with you, I've never heard it called a muffin fan, but they do make fans that go inside the refrigerator.
Do
Battery
you
powered?
know the
They do, yeah.
Muffin
They're
Fan,
battery
the
powered. They make
Muffin
some that can
Fan,
be
the Muffin
installed
Fan.
and wired through the back and everything. So there's different types, but it is to help with the air circulation inside the refrigerator.
Is that so you
box.
don't end up with frozen stuff at the bottom and hot stuff at the top?
Essentially, it can help.
Do they work?
They can. They do. Yes.
The muffins like them.
But they.
Do you know
The biggest
Muffin
thing
Fan?
with especially absorption fridges that people have to be careful of is overstocking them.
Oh,
So the racks in there are slotted racks for a reason because all of your cooling fins are at the top. So that has to circulate in order for things at the bottom to get cold as well.
so your food is actually insulating the cool up top
can.
from getting to the bottom.
It can. If you overstack it, if you stick, 230 packs of beer cans in there, chances are they're not going to get that cold.
Huh.
It's too full.
All right.
Got to have air circulation. So the fans can help with that. Same on the backside for absorption fridges for helping the heat move through.
Yeah.
The tips that I learned to keep your fridge more efficient is, put cold stuff already in it. Make sure your seal is good. I heard a lot of times people are saying, my fridge won't cool down enough. It's just that they had like old seals and you just have to redo it so that the cold isn't escaping the whole time. You know that thing you do at home where you can't sleep, so you go downstairs and you just open your fridge and you stare at it for a while and try to find something to eat?
Don't do that.
Don't do that in your RV.
Nah, no.
You just don't. Like,
You need to know where it is. You get in, you get out.
yeah, I don't even let my kids touch the fridge in the RV because I know they will. I mean, they'll just stand there and kind of mess with things and then not shut the door all the way. And then our whole camping trip is screwed with no food, you know?
Yeah.
So anyway, tips to keep it running more efficiently. That's pretty much all I got. I learned a lot though, I think.
Me too.
Yeah.
And now
No,
I
you
have
didn't.
Muffin Fans stuck in my head.
Are you going to try that? You going to get one for your refrigerator? Just find out.
No, I mean, my fridge has always done really good. I've never had a problem with it.
But you're going boondocking with your trailer sometime this year.
At some point, yes.
Don't be afraid of the propane.
I'm not afraid of the propane.
Good.
Boom.
That's not okay.
Clint.
Sorry.
I mean, like, can I just turn it on just a little? will that make it go like a little boom, not a big boom?
Well, I do have another question about that. Now this doesn't solve it because
You
this is
yelled
always,
at me for bringing it up in the first place,
no.
and now you're going to keep talking about it?
I has questions.
Okay, I'm just want to make that clear.
Obviously, you have the propane bottle. Okay. It has an on-off
It's
nozzle.
right here.
It's called a cylinder.
A cylinder. Yep.
The bottle.
And then you have a line, and then you have the on-off valve at the device. Yeah, correct? Yes.
At the device, like the fridge?
Yep. Fridge.
What
stove,
about the
oven.
regulator?
Regulator. Okay, where the regulator is between the bottle cylinder and that hose that goes to the appliance, right?
Sure.
Okay. If something should happen to the line or at the device where a leak it just happens real fast, right? Where are there any fail-safe cutoffs that stop the flow?
Before it gets to the next point?
Where?
At the pigtail and the regulator.
So
Should be.
2 locations.
Are you saying sometimes things don't work the way they're supposed to?
Never.
However, there's 2, and the pigtail is right at the bottle. Is that correct?
Yeah. That's what goes from the cylinder to the regulator.
It's like a Y, right?
A Y?
Yeah.
No. I mean, if you have a dual changeover, maybe, but
Oh,
Wait.
I guess
So
that's what I'm used to saying.
It's a pigtail versus a ponytail. Can you go into that?
I
a
know
little
that's
bit?
why. Maybe that's why I think it's a pigtail because
know.
I think of it as like 2. If it was 1,
But
it would
wait
be a
second.
ponytail.
But pigs don't have 2 tails either.
I know, but they're curly, and I think that's where pigtail came from. Is like a pig's tail, and like little girls have like pigtails, and they're
Okay.
curly.
well, they're not curly. They're just straight.
So it should be a ponytail.
Are we talking about propane or hair?
Propane.
Okay.
Okay.
Somebody's got to keep us on track here.
I digress.
I mean,
No,
we've
they call them pigtails.
heard of propane bottles. We've heard of propane tanks
And cylinders now.
and cylinders. Why don't they put propane in a box?
Like wine?
I want a box of propane.
Probably because of the pressures required to keep it in that cylinder.
It does require a lot of pressure. So tell me how, because why not chase the rabbit? It's magical. You get to eat different colored wafers and change size. Like, what's her name?
Alice.
Alice.
Okay.
Go ask Alice.
No, different Alice.
Oh, different Alice. Okay. So
Did you lose your train of thought?
how exactly?
He did. He ate
it's
a
a
wafer.
20. It's a 10-gallon cylinder. 10-gallon cylinder, 20-pound tank. What is going on with the measurements, and how exactly do you know that the tank is full?
So is this new? Are we talking about propane cylinders on this one now?
I have a question.
So in the state of Texas,
You
we have
shake
to fill cylinders by weight.
Okay.
Weight. and a cylinder can only be filled to the 80% mark
Okay.
to leave room for expansion.
Okay.
Because
And,
propane expands when it's
Altitude or temperature or
hot.
so the boiling point of propane's like negative 200 and something degrees.
Wait, propane's not a gas?
both? Okay.
Yes and no.
I thought we were talking about fridges.
It changes states. It is a
What?
liquid under
This
pressure
wood
in
table
that
is
cylinder.
not a gas.
So in the tank, is it?
It's both. It's liquid and gas.
sloshing around in there?
No. So when the cylinder's closed off,
When a
wait,
mommy
wait.
and a daddy
When the-
love each other very
So
much.
it's a gas and a liquid in there. So
Yes.
it's basically a plasma.
It's a lass.
are you trying to ask me if it's a
Gikwid.
What's your language?
What are we even talking about? Okay.
I don't even know anymore.
Okay.
Okay, so you actually weigh it and you're adding by weight to the bottle. I've seen
Right.
you guys out there with a scale. What's the process here?
I mean, the process is that the cylinder weighs so much per the manufacturer of the cylinder.
Okay.
We have to weigh our hose to determine how much that's going to add to it. And then there's a formula to come up with how much liquid propane actually gets pumped into it. You know, if they call it a 20-pound cylinder, generally it's around 5 gallons,
Okay.
which will vary depending upon temperature.
Okay. Now, propane has a distinct odor.
Yes, that is called ethyl mercaptan.
And that is not necessarily the smell of propane, is
Oh,
it?
Captain, my
No,
captain.
that is a substance added to propane and natural gas, so it has an odor because propane is odorless,
Which is the problem.
which is why they added ethyl mercaptan to it after a school blew up.
Ooh.
Yikes.
Killed like over 300
Stop.
kids.
Oh no.
So now
So do you run your propane while you're
now you
driving down
smell-
the road?
So we're back to this? Absolutely. If your stuff is operating the way it's supposed to, it's fine.
Okay.
So you would run your propane while driving down the
Absolutely.
road. Clint, would you run your propane while driving down the road?
I absolutely have, yes.
Lindsay, would I run my Yes, I would.
Okay. Now, we may be three idiots to those who are listening.
It's true.
But that's what we three actually would do. Okay?
Perfect.
I don't even know what else to say. This has been so cool.
I don't know. I feel like the conversation's gone cold.
I have nothing to add.
What?
You both have taken my job, my role in this podcast.
What?
When you're freezing me out. Everybody, thank you so much for bearing with us on this topic of refrigerators and propane and whatnot. Don't forget we have other shows that we've done. We've actually talked to microphones a few
Better
times.
shows.
Yeah. And so you can find those at rvsmalltalk.com. You can also just check in the backlog in your podcast player of choice. If you happen to be in Apple Podcasts, do subscribe and leave us a positive review. It does help significantly. We do have a rally coming up in the fall. We only have a few spots left, I believe, but it is a rally here in Texas at the end of September. It is the Texas Tiny Trailer Rally. If you would like to rally with us, go look up Texas Tiny Trailer Rally, get the details, see if it'll work out for you.
Any rig, it doesn't matter how big, how small, where you got it.
Doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter. New, used, vintage,
Right.
homemade. We have them all at the rally. So make sure you check it out. You can go to texastinytrailerrally.com or we have a group on Facebook that you can join.
Sure. Good people there. Cody, thank you so much for joining us. I know I pulled you away from just enthralling work.
Absolutely. Happy to be here.
He got to sit in the AC. He's fine.
Very good. Thanks, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.